Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and today, the top 10 best button lock flippers that you can get your hands on in 2024. Let's check them out. So ever since the Pro-Tech Malibu kind of reoriented the way people think about button lock flippers in the year 2020, a ton of new options have hit the marketplace to compete at a broad range of prices, and frankly, there's a lot to wade through. So that's why we're going to bring you this list today. Help you sort through some stuff rather quickly to find some of the true gems of the button lock flipper genre. Quite honestly, the Pro-Tech is still the one to beat. This is still the action that everybody is chasing nowadays. The flipping is nice and crisp. The blade falls shut without anything to get in the way when you unlock the blade and flick it closed, and then it's ready to go again. Made in the USA with an aluminum handle. You can get a Wharncliffe or a reverse Tonto blade on it. They start a little bit over $200. This one has Magna Cut steel and a black coated blade. These are running about $240 nowadays. It's just an excellent knife. It's engineered very well. It's the right kind of size for everyday carry, 3.3 inches. Doesn't take up a ton of room in the pocket either, thanks to its tapered handle. It sits nice and deep thanks to the deep carry pocket clip right there. And it just has defined the feel of a button lock flipper in the 2020s. And it's still going strong. Even now, 4 years later, these don't stay in stock very long when we get batches in. Check it out if you can get your hands on one. As for the rest of this top 10 list, I'm going to stick with some of the more premium stuff first before we get to some budget options. And the first one I want to take a look at is the Hogue X1-Microflip. And in my opinion, before the Malibu came along, this was actually the button lock flipper to beat. Now the action on this knife is truly excellent. Flips out super, super nicely, but what it doesn't have, where I think the Malibu really changed some minds, changed some perspectives, is that same flick shut action that the Malibu has. You will usually have to finish this up with your thumb, bringing it around to close the blade. In my opinion, that's a small price to pay for this still excellent knife. They run a little bit over $150 right now, made in the USA, designed by Alan Olishewitz. The blades are about 2 3/4 of an inch long, and you can get it in this Wharncliffe shape or a drop point made with CPM 154 steel. Handles are aluminum, just like the Malibu. 2-position pocket clip on this particular knife, unlike the Malibu, which means lefties will be able to use that knife no problem as well, because that button lock is an excellent left-hand lock option. Other advantages of the button lock, while we're talking about it, is you have that finger-safe closing action. When you are operating the lock to close the blade, you're never crossing the path of that sharpened edge with any of your fingers. It's a nice extra bit of passive safety that we like. This one also has a secondary safety that works when the blade is open. In case you're worried about accidentally depressing that button, that will go a long way to alleviating those concerns. Great, great small everyday carry knife right here when you take everything all together. Also on the premium side of things, We Knife Company has several options, and in my opinion, the Culex here just hits on all the right notes for me, and for a great everyday carry folder. And that's the thing with most of the button lock flippers here. They tend to be just kind of nice everyday carry general purpose knives. You don't see a lot of super tough, super hard use knives or super tactical this or that. They're designed to be excellent cutters and fun to play with. The fidget factor of the Malibu can't be denied, and the rest of these button locks on this particular list are going to have that same kind of fidgetable quality. But all of that you find in the Culex here as well. Price on these started about $216. You got a 3-inch 20 CV blade, so excellent edge retention right there. Nice drop point, thin enough with a high flat grind. It's just, like I said, a great everyday carry shape and geometry. The handles are titanium. We've got a titanium deep carry clip with reversibility, so lefties rejoice right there. And beyond just the flipper tab, which gives you that excellent action, riding on ball bearings in the pivot, you've also got a set of thumb studs. So choices are never a bad thing in your opening methods for this knife. As for the size of the handle, it's about a 3.5 finger grip for me. I do have slightly larger than average hands, so your mileage may vary on all of this stuff, of course. The Culex, premium quality in the button lock flipper genre with the titanium handles, which you honestly still, to this day, don't see as many of as you see other options. But here's another one with a titanium handle we can take a look at. The Boker Plus Lucas Burnley designed Kwaiken push button flipper. $220 for this. 3-inch, technically a trailing point blade. It is rising just a little bit right here. 3 inches long with S35 VN steel. Nice geometry for easy slicing as well. Fairly hand-filling grip. I can get all 4 of my fingers on there if my index rests right over the flipper tab right there, and you get a super solid hold on that milled titanium handle. We do have a reversible pocket clip, not truly deep carry since you have a little bit sticking out here at the back, but it is reversible and sits nice and low in the pocket. The action with the ball bearings in this pivot here, just feel very, very good all around. Classic Kwaiken design in a button lock flipper format. Kind of a winning combo that is worthy of attention, I think. Now let's say your prices or your price range trends a bit lower. Budget options to take a look at, because this great action is not just replicatable on premium stuff. There's a ton of great affordable options. And I've got 2 here that I think are like the best of the best in terms of the budget. They're not the absolute cheapest. There's some less expensive button lock flippers out there that are still quite good that you can get. But these 2, for reasons I'm gonna get into, I think are the best place to start. And they're each right around $50. The first is the Kizer Amicus, coming in at $48 right now. I praised this knife in my end of the year coverage last year after it was introduced because it is just the right size to be useful for just about everyone out there, whether you need a small knife or something that cuts a little bigger, which thanks to this knife's design, it can do that, all at a very affordable price. And it works for lefties or righties as well, thanks to the reversible clip there. Blade is just about 3 inches long. We've got 9CR series stainless steel, which is a step up from the 8CR stuff that you often see in this price range. Gives you a bit more edge retention. The broad drop point blade is going to work for those bigger cuts when you need it to, without becoming something that's too big or unwieldy for folks who don't want a big knife in the pocket. Same thing with the handle. It's a little bit wider, so it's not a super slim carrying knife, but it's small enough and yet you can still get a super solid grip on it. Action is very good, ball bearings in the pivot here. In fact, I won't say that anymore. Everything we're gonna look at from here on out does have ball bearings in the pivot. Nice action all around. Yes, you can get more knife for this type of money, but the design of this, the way it's all put together, really, I think, sets it apart from other stuff in its price range. Next up, if you want something that is a bit bigger, and you can devote the pocket space to it, for $49.95 right now, the CJRB Lago, I think, gives you the most of the best that you can get under $50 on any button lock flipper out there. 3.4-inch blade, big, broad, modified Wharncliffe shape, RPM 9 powder metallurgy steel. A powder metallurgy steel at a sub $50 price point is pretty darn incredible these days. The way they describe this is it's a steel that is stainless and should have edge retention similar to D2, but it's tougher than D2 and stainless to boot, as mentioned. Great big broad shape for your daily cutting needs. You've got a flipper tab and the blade cut out for other types of opening fun. The handle comes in various G10 and even micarta flavors, I believe. And it has a nice elliptical shape here that's gonna work for just about any hand size I can think of. And it gives you a lot of tool with some really very good materials at this price point. Action is quite good, as you can see, and it's definitely a conversation starter of a knife too. It has presence that some of these other knives scale it back a little bit in terms of the way they present themselves. This is a knife that shouts about what it is, and it is not embarrassed whatsoever. All right, next up, CIVIVI, which many of you may know is the mid-tier budget subsidiary of We Knife Company. And of any brand on this table, I think CIVIVI is really leading the charge with their button lock designs. They're coming out with a lot of great models utilizing their button lock. The action is quite good, and there's actually some variants to the designs as well. And you could have put any of them on this list, quite honestly. The Conspirator is very good. The Elementum 2, the original Elementum in size, but with a button lock to back up its flipper. Chevalier, Sentinel Strike, Cogent, tons of great ones. But I want to put one of the newest ones on the list today, and that is the Stormhowl. The reason this makes the cut over the other models is the price is still very attainable, yet look at it. This looks like an expensive knife. This feels like an expensive knife. It flips like, of anything on the table, closest to the Malibu of anything, including the wee Culex we looked at earlier. And yet, it's only just under $75 right now. The blade is Nitro V, 3.3 inches long, two-tone finish. As you can see, we've got not just a black semi-stone washed grind on the flat grind here, but we've also got a horizontal satin on the flats, almost a hand-rubbed look. Very, very classy and looks awesome against this two-tone aluminum handle right here. Some of their aluminum handles have a tendency to feel a little bit more slick in texture, the way CIVIVI has done them on certain models, but this gets around that by milling down these grooves and then kind of polishing down these raised silver bits to give you that two-tone look, and it gives you more surface area and hence more traction in the hand. I mean, how awesome does this look? Is it just me? I don't think so. I think it looks great. Reversible pocket clip, ball bearings in the pivot. Oops, I mentioned it again. Excellent action and a truly premium feel for a non-premium price tag, a decidedly non-premium price tag. And the steel, while it may not be a powder metallurgy product at this price range, Nitro V is still very good. It's amongst my favorite family of the non-powder metallurgy stainlesses out there. Takes a real fine edge, is very tough. It's kind of a spin-off of the Sandvik family of steels like the 13C26 and that sort of thing. Great, great stuff right there. Next up, I'm putting a Vosteed on the list, and this is the Valkyrie. Comes in about 72 bucks. You've got a Nitro V blade, same steel we just talked about. The blade is 3¼ inches long. You can get it in two profiles, this sax style as they're calling it, or the Wharncliffe shape, or a sheep's foot style shape, each with Nitro V steel, that same great stuff that we just talked about. G10 or micarta handles at this price. You've got a reversible deep carry clip. You've got the button lock. And really the reason this is here is the plethora of opening methods you've got. Now, this was designed by the same gentleman who designed the Kizer Cormorant with its 3 opening methods. And what you see is an actual internal stop pin. It runs in a race inside the blade and functions as its own stop pin there. This right here is not the actual stop pin. As such, it can be very clean from this backside, and you get not just the rear flipper, you get thumb studs, and you get front flipping capability, which I actually excluded front flippers as a general or as a standalone category from this video. So if you want a front flipper, this is the one you're gonna want to look at in this particular list. Really cool stuff, really excellent design, distinctive design at its price point as well, and is gonna perform quite nicely. Next up, the QSP Penguin. I mentioned earlier, you don't have like a ton of like real like heavy duty workhorse style of button lock flippers on the market. They tend to go more for things that feel good, are a little flashy, are fun to play around with. They all still work, don't get me wrong, but the Penguin here is one of the few that has a true personality that feels like it wants to do heavy work. And that's based on kind of the personality of the original liner locking versions of this knife before they expanded to the button lock. These start at about 65 bucks with a 14C28N blade steel. Similar marks to the Nitro V that we were just talking about, in my opinion. Or you can get this slightly upgraded version. It's a KnifeCenter exclusive for about 20 bucks more with an S35 VN powder metal blade. It's going to give you very, very good edge retention, as well as being decently tough, and of course stainless too. The action, quite good, as you would expect. You've got the flipper tab and thumb studs. Take your pick. Solid grip on this knife thanks to its dimensions overall. We've got a reversible pocket clip. You've got that strong sheep's foot style blade. Not too thick, not too thin, not too high, but high enough of a grind that it's gonna slice well, and due to its shape, feels like you could really push through some tasks. All in a size, just over 3 inches on the blade, compact handled despite being able to get a full 4-finger grip, for me at least. Means it's gonna be easy to incorporate into your everyday carry, especially if you need something that's gonna work pretty darn hard. Last but not least, we've got another model that initially started as a liner lock like the QSP Penguin did, and has recently been upgraded with a button lock, and that is the Bestech Swordfish. In fact, the base model of this still hasn't been released. This was only announced a couple of months ago at SHOT Show in January, and we do have, however, this KnifeCenter exclusive version with an S35 VN blade, 3¼ inches long, just under $100 right now. It is what we like to refer to as a big easy knife. You've got a lot of reach for those larger cuts, and yet folded up, it's not something that's gonna take up a ton of space in your pocket. It's not gonna weigh you down, and it's agile in the hand. It's nimble in a way that kind of chunkier knives kind of have a different sort of personality. Very, very cool. The standard versions of these are going to come with a 14C28N blade and come in at a less expensive price point as well. But they still have that 2-tone split G10 handle here that looks great, white and black. With this blade is, of course, as I mentioned, a KnifeCenter exclusive. You don't have reversibility on this one. Sorry, left-handers out there. But if that's not a concern for you, it's gonna be an awesome knife for those larger cuts at a pretty darn good price as well. All right, that's my list, and I'm sticking to it. But you folks down in the comments know what to do. Are these the top 10 button lock flippers in 2024? Would love to hear your thoughts. What's missing from this list? What do you think should have made it? And bonus points, if you have a knife that you think should have been on this list instead, it's a top 10 list, so tell me what you would have taken out to make room for your suggestion. Also, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we're going to leave links in the description that will take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter signing off. Happy flipping, everyone. See you next time.